Hello, and thank you for attending today's lecture. It's called Saving the States, part of a series of lectures on the tax reform plan that saves our middle class. When you go around the country, it doesn't matter if it's California, New York, Wisconsin, or Florida, or Ohio, what you'll find is that all the states are in fiscal crisis. They have a problem balancing their budgets, they're in debt. And this is mainly due to the fact that revenues have fallen while expenditures are either the same or they're going up. They have to balance the budget, so they're caught between a rock and a hard place. But let's look at one thing first, which is why are they having such a hard time with revenues? We cannot forget the fact that between 2007 and 2008, the country lost over 7 million jobs. When people are out of work, they go on to unemployment insurance, and that costs the government money. They're not earning any money, so when they're not earning any money, they're not paying taxes, and revenues go down. The housing crisis has exacerbated everything. Falling home prices, and they've gone down 40, 50, 60%, have forced millions of people out on the street due to foreclosures. Property values have declined, so the revenue from property taxes has also declined. And also, when people are out of work and they're out of homes, they're not spending, and so we have a problem collecting state sales tax. So revenues are way down, but again, the expenditures are the same or they're going up, and this is a huge problem. If you look at Wisconsin, which is in the news lately, they have a $3.4 billion debt that they're trying to deal with. In California, it's somewhere around $19 billion. So the question is, how can we solve this problem for the states? And the answer is through this tax reform plan. Section 8 of this tax reform plan redistributes to the states 30% of the non-income based tax revenue that this plan raises. To understand this, we had two taxes in here, two categories of taxes: income-based taxes and non-income-based taxes. And the income-based taxes were basically from payroll taxes, and the non-income-based taxes are everything else, which would be like, the federal tax on businesses, capital gains tax, things like that. From Appendix H, we learn that the federal government raises $1.085 trillion from non-income based taxes. And it delineates that 30% of this money must be returned to the states based on the state's population. Well, 30% of $1.085 trillion is $325 billion. And so $325 billion is the amount of money that will go from the federal government to the states. And it's divided among the states based on the state's population. So I'd like to go over just a couple things and show you how much money will be going to different states. Let's take a small state, relatively small state like Wisconsin. Wisconsin has approximately 5,600,000 people, representing about 1.8% of the nation's population. So 1.8% of the $325 billion is $5.86 billion. That's the amount of money that Wisconsin will receive every year from the federal government based on Section 8 of this tax reform plan. Now, Ohio has a bigger population. Let's look at them. Ohio has approximately 11,500,000 people, representing about 3.75% of the nation's population. So 3.75% of the $325 billion that goes back to the states annually is $12 billion. And let's look at California. California has about 36,900,000 people and represents 12% of the nation's population. So 12% of the $325 billion comes to $39 billion. That's the amount of money that will be sent back to the states on an annual basis. So take Wisconsin. They have a $3.4 billion debt. They're getting $5.86 billion every year. That solves their problem. California, with its $19 billion debt, receives $39 billion a year. That takes care of that debt. Now, we needed to do one thing which is very important, which is to preempt the states from squabbling over how to spend this money. So Section 8 accounts for 100% of all the money that's going back to the states. All the states' reimbursement money is carefully delineated in this tax reform plan, and it tells the states exactly how and how much money it has to spend. Let me just give you a couple examples, and the rest you can read on the website. 50% of the money goes to public education. This is an enormous amount of money, but what it will do is this. With that kind of money, you can attract the best and the brightest to the teaching profession and pay them what they're truly worth. It means that there's enough money to repair all the schools that are in disrepair and to build any new schools that are necessary. It means that we will no longer have overcrowded classrooms. So like in California, where they were talking about putting 60 kids in a classroom because they were firing all the teachers and they didn't have any money, now you could get back down to the ratios that are important, possibly down to as little as one teacher to 20 students. It means that there's enough money to fund all the different programs that make schools fun. Art, music, theater, dance, physical education. It means that there's enough money to buy all the supplies that are necessary for the computer sciences. It means that all the labs will be fully funded. It means that we can create the environment where we can teach and have the students graduate in the areas of engineering, math, physics, chemistry. We can have the best and the brightest to compete in a 21st century economy. Now we also put 5% of the money that's going back to the states to build new medical schools. Why did we do this? Well, it's very important to understand that this tax reform plan fully funds national health care. When national health care comes into existence and another 50 million people come into the healthcare system and need access to regular medical care, we will have to provide all the medical personnel necessary to accomplish that goal. Right now, the way it is, there are not enough doctors, dentists, acupuncturists, chiropractors, mental health professionals to adequately deal with the amount of people who have access to regular medical care now. When national health care comes into existence and another 50 million people have access to regular medical care, how are they going to get it? Well, the way that they're going to get it is because we're building new medical schools. Now, for the rest of the programs and services that Section 8 funds, I want to refer you to the website. That's www.SeriousTaxReform.com. On that website, you can read about the entire program, the entire tax proposal, and what you will see is amazing. You'll see that this tax reform plan lowers taxes for individuals, businesses, lowers the tax on capital gains, removes the tax on interest, and still raises over $1 trillion compared to the current system that we have. Now, what this allows us to do with proper reprioritization of our budget expenditures, this will give us, among other things, national health care completely paid for. It will give us a solvent social security system, and it will give us a great public education system that allows all academically qualified students to attend 4 years of college free of charge. Again, to see how all this is possible, please go to the website www.SeriousTaxReform.com. I thank you for listening, and I look forward to speaking with you at the next lecture.